Hello everyone, this is Fabio Carvalho and you're watching now Adisra SmartView Course. Today's topic is the symbols and some interface tips. We'll be working on the process screen. In this screen I want to represent the entire brewing process, and I had to study a little bit what steps I wanted to add to the process. Of course it's not 100% accurate, but I tried to add as much steps as I could and try to make it look good, so I would be able to show you how it was done. I didn't want to lose so much time of you to see how it was drawn and all the geometric objects that were used, but I decided to implement the interface, or at least most part of it, and be able to show you how it was done and give you some tips, and also to show you the symbols the SmartView library has. So let's double click the graphics screen, and this is what I prepared so far. The first process, which is the milling, I had to add a few elements from the geometric objects, like Polygon. This is the place that I want to show the percentage of grains that still have to be crushed. And I added two images here with gears that I want to show some animation. I decided to put some angle, so I created two tags for the angle, and I rotate them, the left one on clockwise and the other one on the other direction. Let's see how it was done with the images first. We can select any one of them. I'm selecting the left one. Let's go to the property grid and we can expand the angle. See that I already configured the tag calling milling speed, and on the right side I also configured the tag calling milling speed 2. Those two tags are being manipulated on a service that I created calling milling speed, and let's open it to see how it was done. You can see that right now it's running full time. You can see the condition is true and it's also enabled this document, and it runs every 80 milliseconds. On the logic, it's a C# code, just adding for the first one this chunk of code, and if the milling speed tag, which is an integer tag, is greater or equals than 360, just representing the angles, I change it back to 0. If not, if it's not yet 360, I just increment by 9. The second one, I want to rotate not clockwise but the other direction, so I'm starting from 360 and then decrementing by 9. Next object that I can show you is the polygon, which is this object here. It's a nice object that contains fill. We can change the fill color of the object. It's a little bit similar to a PolyLine. We can add multiple lines, but a PolyLine doesn't contain any fill. You can see on the brushes here. It just allows you to color the line. The polygon is a little bit different. You can color not only the border but also the fill. And there are some nice options for the fill. We can use a solid color, a gradient color. You can add an image to the polygon. You can add dynamic color depending on the expression. We can change between many different colors. And we can use a dynamic fill. A dynamic fill is what I used here. I'm gonna select here now, and I'm gonna put a tag which is already here, and this tag represents the percentage of the object that I want to color. We're gonna need to configure the minimum and the maximum value for this tag to apply the percentage, and I'll show you how it's done. And we'll add a color for the fill. I used the brown to represent the grains, and the background is going to be white. On the dynamic fill we can also change the orientation. Could be horizontal, for example. In this case it should be vertical. And I can also flip the fill. Okay? As I said, the tag needs to have a minimum and a maximum value to be able to draw the percentage. We can also open the tag just to show you. This is the milling amount, and so far I didn't put any min value and max value, but I'm gonna put between 0 and 100 to be exact the percentage, and these values will be used to draw the dynamic fill. Okay, let's delete. We already saw how to do the rotation and how to do the fill. The rest of the objects, as you can see, I can select here. They're polylines, multiple lines together, and this on the top is also polygon because it does have a fill. Then I represented the pipes to be polylines. I don't pretend to put any fill there. I'm not gonna animate the pipes. On the second process, which is the meshing process, it's where we're gonna add some water to it, and we'll be basically separating what we're going to be using for the beer and what we want to discard. I added some polylines, polygons like the other one, and some rectangles to represent the percentages of each rectangle. So there are 3 rectangles here. I also added an arrow, which was done with a polygon. You can see how it's easy to do it. Just gonna do something fast and bigger, but you can do at any size. So this is a way to do a polygon and to add some fill. Of course, it's a polygon. You can add a solid color, and this is just a representation. Let's delete and move forward. And this is a rectangle, and I also used 2 ellipses to simulate a tank. We can do it really fast right now. You can use an ellipse to also draw a perfect circle. If you hold Shift while drawing, I'm gonna do it. I'm holding Shift and just dragging the mouse while click it, and you can see that I'm drawing a perfect circle. If I want to just draw an ellipse, I don't hold Shift, I just draw whatever I want to draw, and I can get this format. I'm gonna delete for now this, and I'm gonna draw the tank. Just Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and now I'm gonna add a rectangle. I want the rectangle width to be the same as the ellipses, so I select first the rectangle, then the ellipses. The one with the blue squares is the reference, and I can resize them. I'm gonna resize the width. I'm gonna also align to the left. Looks good. I'm gonna select now and then just bring it to form the tank. And looks good. I can bring this one to the front to look like a tank. Great. And now I just need to remove this line, and to remove it I'm gonna just add the rectangle, which is gonna be actually the fill of the tank. So let's zoom in to look easier. I can just pull it exactly where I want to place it. I'm gonna remove the border, so there is a transparent color. I think it's the best way to remove it. I could use the same color as the background. And now we can also add a dynamic color. And just put some color here. And there you go. This is the tank that we can use with 4 different objects. If I wanted to duplicate this tank and use it somewhere else, I could group them. This is a way to create one single object out of all of those objects that we added. And now I can copy and paste, or just copy and paste and put it in other screens. And it's also easier to move them around since it's just one click. I can ungroup them, or I can keep them grouped and also check all the objects inside them. If you come here to these graphic items, and I can expand it, and I can see the elements that form this group. I can give a name for this group, I can modify the group using the scripts, so it's a very flexible tool. So for now I'm gonna delete it and zoom out a little bit so we can continue. The next process is the boiling process. This is the place that we're gonna add some fire and raise the temperature and leave it for a while until we reach a specific temperature, and then we just need to control the temperature to keep it that way. For the interface, I again added a rectangle and added some dynamic fill to it. And to represent the fire, I could draw a polygon, but I decided to use a symbol from our library. And I'm gonna show you how easy it is and how many symbols that we have on the library right now that can help you a lot to draw some nice interface. Let's click the symbol here, draw it, and this is just a default image, but we can select from the button here one of the images that we have on the library. You can see on the left side that there are many topics, and you can click one by one to check all of the images that we have, and just select one of them to use on the screen. For the fire, I used the nature, so let's click the nature here. You can see here I probably used the fire too. Yeah, that was the image that I used, and you can resize it, you can rotate them, use any direction, and you'll be fine. So let's keep going. The next process is the cooling process, and this one I just used the rectangles. Let's put here and show you how it was done. We can add some rounded corners to the rectangle, and this is the property that needs to be changed, corner radius. I'm gonna put 12. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit like I did on the image below. And I'm gonna change the border color to look a little light blue to represent cool water. See, that's what I done, and I just copy and paste a few times to have multiple of them, one above the other one. I can delete them now, and let's move forward for the fermentation. Again, it's a polygon with dynamic fill. We're gonna add more ingredients to the recipe in this process. I decided to use a tank with some dynamic fill again. The next process is the filtration. In this one I just added a rounded rectangle with multiple small circles. So again, I used the ellipse and just drew small circles this way and put them inside the rectangle. And at last, the cooling process. We have a second cooling process, and just the direction is a little bit different, but I used the same technique as I used on the fourth step. As soon as this is finished, just put an arrow here to show you that the result of the brewing process is going to the storage room, and I just added a ellipse here with image of the image of the storage. I hope I was able to give you some important tips and some helpful tips to improve your work when working with the interface. I know it can take some time to learn some shortcuts and how to prepare a nice window like this, and to prepare a nice window as you desire. So I believe all those tips can help you improve. I hope all the tips that I gave were important and very useful. I hope all the tips that I gave you, I hope the tips that I gave you were really important and will be able to help you in the future. I hope all the tips that I gave you were important and will be helpful for you in the future. Before finishing the video, I just want to show you how it looks like on the runtime. I'm gonna save what we have so far, and I'm gonna run it. So far we only have animation for the gears of the milling process, and I have one tag added to the milling process as well. So let's go there. We can see the gears are rotating, and it's done by the service that I showed you. And we can also see the percentage of the milling tank that are filled or not. Right now the value of the tag is 0, so you cannot see anything being colored. But I'm gonna open the data watcher so you can see the tank changing. Let's load all the tags. It's the milling amount. As I said, it's 0. Let's put 87%. And nice, we can see that it just colored. You also saw the fermentation colored. Probably I used the same tag, but you can see that it basically changes as soon as the percentage changes here. Put 17%, 37%. At last, let's put 100%. And this is the entire size of the polygon being filled with the color that I chose. Okay, let's stop. Feel free to play around with the symbols and all those objects, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to build a nice interface, and we'll be able to represent whatever you want with all the tools that we have available. Okay, thank you very much, and bye bye.